Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Odyssey. My name's Jason and today I'm back at you with another video, this time as requested with ADA. So we are on the 4 daily chart and there is a lot to unpack in this video, so stay tuned, grab some popcorn and let's jump in. I know there is a lot going on in this chart at the moment, so I'm going to just break down briefly what these different components mean. If we start at the beginning, we can see that we have this red rectangular box here, which is signifying the bear market from 2018, January, through to 2020. This was when ADA was in an extensive downtrend, otherwise known as a bear market. This green box is what signifies a bull market, and that occurred from the 10th of April till September the 21st. And that was when ADA was in a significant uptrend and experienced its bull market rallying quite significantly, exactly 18,000%, 18.6K. So if you would have invested $1,000 back when ADA was 0.02, you do the math, you would probably be driving Lamborghinis right now, maybe sipping bloody mojitos on the Caribbean islands. Now, this other rectangular box is the bear market from exactly September 2021 to September 2023, approximately 742 days. If we just look at how much ADA retraced from that time, well, it retraced about 93%. So it lost 93% of its value, which is not uncommon for altcoins or Bitcoin for that matter. However, altcoins obviously take a larger hit simply because they're less established. They have much greater volatility than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a far more established asset, and as assets mature over time, volatility decreases. Whereas assets that are earlier in their inception have a higher degree of volatility. That's why crypto is seen as a high risk investment or high risk market, because it is still in its early phase. However, it is in these early phases where lots of money can be made. The same could be said that lots of money can be lost. And finally, look into the bull market of the present day, which started in September 2023, if we're marking from the low, and is currently now 2025 in May, and we've elapsed 591 days. If we just start at the beginning again, we can see that the first bear market that ADA experienced lasted about 790 days. The second bear market that ADA experienced was 742 days. So there is some correlation there that they would roughly land about 800. There is room for 50-day variation. However, there is enough consistency there that we can gain a sense of when we should be entering or exiting the market. If we look at the bull market during COVID times, from 2020 up until 2021, then we can see that that elapsed, let me just check, 538 days, okay, which is shorter than the bear market that ADA experienced. Now, what's interesting about that is if we look at what current price action is doing now, while the bull market so far from its beginning in September 2023 has already elapsed 591 days, which is telling us that we are deep in this bull market. And that lines up quite nicely with where Bitcoin is at the moment as well, because we're coming to the conclusions that Bitcoin is also going to be reaching its climax at some point. Whether that will be over the next couple of months, we will find out. That is not saying throw caution to the wind. That is saying basically we need to have our heads screwed on here. We need to be aware of all different possibilities of what could happen. If the market is going to retrace to the downside, then we can look back and say, well, 591 days passed. That was already longer than the previous bull market. That was an early warning shot telling us that we should probably start considering exiting the market. However, is that the time right now? Because there are other indicators in the market. There are other things telling us that potentially we may be seeing another high. And that's where these wonderful, simple, clear yellow lines come into the picture. If we start with the yellow line, the first yellow line that is marked on the 10th of April 2022. What is this yellow line? Well, it correlates with the MACD at the bottom. And just remember that we are on the 4-daily chart here. Having a look at the 4-daily MACD, we can see that ADA experienced a MACD cross. Now, I'm not taking into consideration the MACD crosses that occurred during the bear market, only those that occurred during the bull markets. And this is significant because I'm not interested in those moves that occur in bear markets because they don't have the propensity, the power for upside action in the same sense that bull markets do. So looking at this one on the 10th of April 2020, we had this MACD cross, and what followed essentially was this large move up until 0.175, roughly 486%. It's important to point out that these MACD crosses can be huge opportunities in the market. They are not occurring regularly. These are not something that happen all the time. This is a 4-daily chart, okay? This is a higher time frame. And over the period of ADA's entire lifespan, we've only seen 6 within the bull markets, that is. Not to take into consideration the bear markets, but only 6 confirmed MACD crosses. What I mean by confirmation is that when the MACD crossed, it did not dip below that afterwards. It went up and it marked new highs, new all-time highs as well. If we look at the second MACD cross, that occurred on the 12th of November 2020. And that was ultimately what made us reach our all-time high. So if we look here, that was another roughly 2,750%. Again, magnanimous gains, really large gains, lots of potential to make significant amounts of money. Looking at the third MACD cross, it occurred on the 5th of August 2021. And this is significant because if we just look at the point of when it crossed right here and how it looks in price action, we can see that price was already quite high and there was only 128%, which is still, massive gains, but relative to the prior moves, it is a dip in the water, so to speak. Now, what is beautiful about the simplicity of this MACD chart is that we have 3 lines. We have 3 moments where the 4-daily MACD crossed and gave us huge opportunities to make money in the market. If we fast forward to the present bull market, we can see that we had our first MACD cross on the 18th of September 2023. From the point of its inception to the high, we had a move of roughly about 228%, okay, which is a lot. And it looks more significant when I zoom in here. The second time we had a move was back in the 5th of September 2024. And the move from there to the high was 330%. So relative to the previous bull run, we've obviously got depreciating gains here. However, this is still 3xing what you put in. So it's still a significant amount of money to be made. If you compare this to the stock market or the Forex market, crypto is light years ahead in terms of the volatility and the amount of money that can be made. Moving forward now to the present day, and we can see that any time now, ADA is about to experience another 4-daily MACD cross. This is huge. We have the potential to see upwards of 100 to 200% move. If we're taking into consideration simply a conservative estimate here, I say conservative because if we look back to the prior moves, we were seeing 18, 20,000% moves. We're not seeing that now. We haven't been seeing that in this bull market. However, there is still potential for a 200% move or so, similar to what ADA did just before it reached out its all-time high. So let's just plop that in and say, when is that going to happen? Well, it's going to happen anytime over the next month or so, really. And what we have now is confluence. We have 3 yellow lines signifying the 3 major opportunities to make money in the prior bull market, and we have those same 3 yellow lines appearing in this present day bull market, which is again signifying three major opportunities to make money. What I love about this is the simplicity of it. However, we cannot throw caution to the wind, because if we look, when this last yellow line came, there was virtually not that much time to get out of the market. There was 32 days before the high was in, the top was in, and the market then ultimately retraced over the next 742 days, about 93%. So what this chart is telling me is that there is about a month, 2 months, 3 months max, and that's a push. We can't time the market here. Timing the market is not something traders or investors do because it's virtually impossible. What we can see is the patterns that unfold and the probabilities that they infer. What this chart is telling us, and I don't need to tell you this, the chart is speaking to you, to yourself, is saying there is not that much time in the market. However, there is still upside to be had based off this 4 daily MACD cross. And that could be in the realm of 100%, 200%, 300%, 400% based off historical price action. So there is significant opportunity still in the market. And that's why I don't believe we have seen the end of this bull market yet. I don't think the top is in. And if we look at how the market is behaving, ADA still hasn't made an all-time high. It is still under its previous all-time high. And if we consider what ADA was doing in the previous bull market, when did it actually get above its all-time high? Well, it wasn't until really quite deep into the bull market. And the same could be said of now. We haven't made an all-time high. However, when we do, it will be towards the end of the bull market. So there is not that much time left. We have already elapsed 591 days. It's impossible to put a time frame on it because history doesn't repeat, even though it rhymes. I know I keep saying this, but it's true. A major move to the upside is imminent based off this 4 daily MACD cross. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. As promised, I was going to make a technical analysis video on ADA. I hope this proved fruitful for you. We are seeing the potential for an upside move in the market, especially for reaching those all-time highs. Taking a bigger picture perspective, we can see that there is still major opportunities in this market. I know people are bored. I know ADA, XRP, these coins have been going sideways now for quite some time. However, based on what Bitcoin is doing and based on the fact that all of these cryptos, especially Bitcoin, ADA and XRP, are experiencing these 2 daily, 3 daily, 4 daily now MACD crosses on the horizon, this is telling us that there is momentum moving to the upside and that cryptocurrency is going to be seeing a resurgence. I know retail is bored. Google Trends is down significantly compared to when it broke out in November. I think people are forgetting that in November, ADA saw a significant move in its own right. And people thought that this was the beginning of the bull market. However, it wasn't. The bull market started a lot sooner than that, but this was still a 300% move. The bull market really started in 2023 based off historical price action. So anyway, that's what I have in store for you today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe for daily updates. I'm going to be producing videos on a daily basis, hopefully providing value to you guys. So please leave a thumbs up and I'll see you in the next one.